I almost forgot my hello there. What is my, how do I do this?
It's you. You've got to do you and McGregor.
Oh,
Try it
yes.
again.
Yes,
Take two.
again. Well, hello there.
There we
I
go.
got it. Thank you. Thank you. I tried. It was really hard. But we're here again, and it's us. And it's not my job. It's Katie's job to say who are we and what we're doing. But I kind of already did.
Oh
So,
God,
Katie, you do it.
it's so hot. Hi everyone. Welcome to all the films we judged before. I'm Katie. That is Lily Kay,
Hello.
and that's it.
That's it.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. That was us.
This is the whole episode.
This is the whole episode, and we have a lot to catch up on because we were on hiatus last month. So
I went on
now,
holiday.
yes, well deserved holiday, and we have to talk about shit because a lot of shit has been happening around the entertainment industry, and we've been seeing stuff and all that. So it's time to talk about it. That's why we're here. That's how we rock and roll.
And we're all going to do this in the space of an hour because it is the temperature of Satan's armpits in
Yes,
Europe currently.
yes, it's very,
It's
very
so
bad.
hot.
It's so hard.
I and all of my feed is just people from other places being like, no, no, it really is that bad.
Yeah, I'm expecting hobbits to walk through here any minute now. I think it's a good prediction. They're gonna throw a ring at me, and that's gonna be it.
At you. You're
Yeah,
the lava.
I am the lava.
Mhm. Okay.
Just radiating heat. Anyway, we here, we talk. And first, I want to talk about the things that we've seen in a brief segment of the things that we've seen. What a surprise. And there's one shared one for 100% sure, and that is behind Katie. That's Disclosure Day, which had a very interesting reception.
Yeah.
I was very surprised by how many people don't seem to appreciate it or like it at all. It's been an ongoing conversation, and I was just reading some of the reviews, and I was like, "Huh? We did we watch a
The
completely
same
different
movie.
movie? Like what the hell is going on?" For me, this was what I've been waiting for. Like
Mm.
I had a movie fatigue for quite some time now. And I was I wasn't going to the cinema that much, and I wasn't really interested in anything because everything kind of feels the same, and you kind of know the outcome now because there are just troops that are being followed. And then Disclosure Day came. We went on the first day, and I found it very, very fantastic and entertaining. And it really grabbed my attention from the first minute to the last. And I am quite puzzled by how many people are saying that Spielberg's time is up and he's cheesy, and this kind of storytelling is so old and it doesn't make sense and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, huh? So what did you think? Because I don't think we properly talked about what
No,
your
I
experience was.
so I went and saw it twice in the space of the same weekend because I came out of the movie the first time I saw it and I genuinely can't tell how I feel about that. I just was like, because I was so enamored with the first half of the movie. I was like, I love all of this. I love it so much. I think everything in here is really cool. Well, barring one thing, but we'll get into that in a minute. But like I love like so many of the ideas on display. I thought the filmmaking's good, gorgeous. The acting's on point. It looks amazing. It was like I think I've been so like starved for good filmmaking.
Yeah,
It's out there. I'm not saying it's not, but like a lot of the popular stuff seems to be being made in a way that pisses me off, to
yeah,
put it that way. So I was watching it going, there's so much like craft on display here that I was so like just thrilled by and all this sort of stuff. And then the last 20 minutes happened and I kind of was like I was a bit grumpy about it. Like the first time anyway. I was like, I just don't know if I like the way that this is played out exactly. Um, and all this sort of stuff. But genuinely spent a good 48 hours going, I don't know how I feel about it. Because then I would see criticisms and I'd be like, no, I get really defensive about it. But at the same time, well, at least criticisms from people who seem to really hate it. I think people who have had actual constructive and like thought out criticisms, I've actually been like, yeah, I agree, but also I still like it. So I went and saw it again on Sunday, much to my father's chagrin, who was like, "You just saw that," and I was like, "Yes, I have to see it again. I don't know what I feel about this movie." And I did come out of it, and I went, "Okay, that ending worked a lot better for me the second time around because I wasn't trying to guess where the movie was going." I thought the movie it's I had a very similar experience when I saw the last Mission Impossible movie, where I thought the movie was planning on tricking me at some point, but it
Mhm,
didn't. It's
mhm.
very straight up. Um and I kind of got a little bit in my head. I was like, oh, this isn't doing what I thought it was going to do, and it kind of like made my first watching of it less enjoyable. Second time round, I understood it a lot more, or at least I felt it a lot more. I was able to just let it kind of wash over me, and I was like, I do like this. I'm not. I don't disagree with people who say that it's very saccharine. Like, because there is there is like a very, I mean, it's sweet, the hopeful nature of it, in that it feels a little naive to suggest that there's a way that like in this day and age, we can come together like as simply as it's being put forward in the movie, right? I think maybe I'm a little jaded on that perspective, but I like the fact that he thinks that this is the way that things could be, you know? I found that I was like, I don't mind this so much, but I do understand what people mean when they think it's like a little over sentimental. Um, but I also don't care.
And I also miss that for the past few years.
Yeah.
I think because movies and TV shows in general are trying to be so grounded in reality that, instead of like painting a better picture of how things could be, we are focusing on, because everyone is running and blah, 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 blah. And I am a bit tired of it. So if this was a breath of fresh air of like, oh, that we could actually make movies that project hopefulness instead of like everyone is awful and people are capable of shitty things, which we already know. It's a fact we live in. So, I don't think I need it in my entertainment as much as it had been put forward lately.
I don't disagree. I do think that there's a level of it in this movie that feels a little detached from reality. In that, like, I think you can do the hope maxing thing. I think Project Hail Mary did the thing very well because it
Yeah,
sets up a very specific world in which this needs to be like fixed and this affects everybody. And I think I could believe it more in that sense. I think in this one, it's almost a willful ignorance to the way that certain things like exist. I guess it feels a little bit like I get what you're going for, but it almost doesn't feel, I almost can't believe it because it's so like it's so hopeful for things that yeah, I don't know, I'm having trouble explaining it properly, but like it doesn't feel as grounded in reality as maybe Project Hail Mary did in the way that it did its hopeful messaging, I guess. But like I also again don't really care. It was like the eventual thing I came around to after seeing it the second time was I think everything about it is great, but I do think the script isn't as good as everything else that's around it. I think some of the writing choices I was a bit like, eh, eh. Like I have criticisms of the movie. I think the whole religious angle in the movie is like weird, and I don't think
yeah,
it works at all.
yeah.
You know,
I
like
agree.
it's like I was like, I don't know, this doesn't need to be in here. And I
No.
think some of the conclusions certain characters jump to because of that religious angle are like, I what? Where did you get that from? I don't understand. It's a very Christian focused form of religion as well, which kind of again forgets that other forms of religion exist. Um, I think that like I think Josh O'Connor gets completely like left behind in the second act of the movie,
That's true.
um, which disappoints me slightly because it is a two-hander. And I think that like his like character and what he represents in the movie kind of is a bit it becomes a bit lackluster, which is like a shame, I think, in a lot of ways. It makes it sad for me. feel like there was oh yeah, yeah, there's like a moment right at the end that I think I expressed to you that I just was like, right, okay, we're just doing this for the sake of the plot at this point, you know. Like certain things just sort of happen in order to make sure the end of the movie like appears. Um I'm trying to be spoiler free, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it just the antagonistic force doesn't resolve in a way that I feel like was particularly satisfying.
I thought about that a lot. I don't know if I could see it any other way than how it happens in the end, because I don't think a big.
I don't know if I want it to be like a fight, but like it's so quiet that I was a bit like, this just feels a bit limp, you know?
I took that quietness of it as just acceptance of, okay, this is the end of the road for us, and there's bigger things that need to be focused on, and it's out of our hand, kind of thing. I mean, that for me, Colin Firth's character represents that perfectly at the end of
I
like,
buy it from his point of view. It's everybody else that I don't buy.
yeah, I can see it some way, especially that guy that was set up as
Yeah,
the
him.
going against the rules and whatnot, and he just leaves. Yeah, sure. But I don't, for me, it didn't have that big of an effect. I was like, this just kind of makes sense of like, okay, we can't do anything. Like we tried the shutting down everything, the generator, everything, and it's clear that we have no say in this at this point, kind of thing. It
Yeah.
happens, it happens. So I was like, okay, I can overlook that um in service of what the ending wanted to do. And I especially like the very end, which is, the whole spoiler if you haven't seen Disclosure Tape, but I have to say this because I think a lot of people miss this, and I think it was brilliant that the last word is listen.
Yeah, I didn't get that until the second time because I was too annoyed that I didn't hear what the alien had to say.
Ah,
So when I did see it the second time, I went, "Oh, I see. I get what you're doing now." This is why I advocate for watching movies too, at least twice, because
yeah,
sometimes you just don't get it the first time, or you're trying to get ahead of it too much in order to appreciate it
yeah.
properly. But like the second time, I went, right, right, I get it,
It's
right.
it's I think it's so it beautifully wraps it up. Like that's the whole point of the movie of just listen.
Yeah, but I think at that point, I was also, at least the first time around, I was like frustrated by the fact that if we're doing spoilers, Josh O'Connor's character, Daniel, is set up to be the person that's able to communicate with the aliens. Like, this is
Yes,
what Coleman Dingler actually says in the movie.
yes,
They made you to communicate with them and they made you to communicate with us. Like,
yes.
that is the thing that they set up. And his entire thing in the last act is putting some stuff on a computer and then putting his ear near to an alien and then whispering it in her ear. And like that's all he gets to do. And I was like, this is just it feels like not enough, you know,
Mm,
at least in this specific like space for him. I don't know. I I was also aware that I'm very biased because I like Josh O'Connor and I
we
wanted him
know.
to be in it more.
Yes,
Have you seen that Onion article that's like Steven Spielberg cast Josh O'Connor for his soulful eyes so that oh no, shoots in IMAX to be able to see Josh O'Connor's soulful eyes in the biggest resolution possible. And I went, yeah, that's what I want. That's what I want always.
yeah. There you go. You got
Uh,
it.
yeah. I ended up really liking it. I think it's like I love flawed pieces of media, and I do think it's kind of an inherently slightly flawed piece of media, but in a way that just like makes me go, "Oh, but somebody made this, and it's great because of that."
Yeah, I'm the only real criticism that I had within
Mm.
is that, man, I don't know what it is, but I keep seeing it in other media as well. What's wrong with animating animals?
I
What's going on?
kind of like I for one thing, I didn't think it was as bad as everybody said it was, and two, I think the kind of slightly weird nature to it works in its favor almost because they're not real animals.
I know they're not, but I
So I
come
think
on.
the slightly storybook nature to them makes kind of lends itself to the storytelling in it. I don't know. I didn't hate it. I know a lot of people were like it's shit, but I was like, I don't know. I think there's something charming about it.
For me, it was quite shit. That was the only thing that almost took me out from the entire thing. I was like, I
I
know
think
what's
if I
going
hadn't
on.
seen them in the trailer and that like shot of her walking towards the house in the trailer, I probably would have been the same. But I think that kind of sets it up to be a little bit weird, a little bit uncanny valley. I don't know. I know. I don't think they're that bad. They don't look any different from any of the other CGI animals I feel like I've seen.
I don't know. Because I know we can do great CGI animals. It's not like it's impossible. And there are many examples. I mean, to just say the most obvious, but there's the Planet of the Apes movies.
That's true. They are. But like I feel like we can't compare everything to Planet of the
That's
Apes.
true. I know, but I kind of have to in a way. But I give you a better one, and I'm going to pivot to another thing that's going on in life, and I'm
Hmm.
watching Avatar season 2.
Hmm.
That's just I'm only one episode left. Only
Oh,
one episode left. I was like hooked yesterday. I cried a lot. Not a surprise. But my God, they have the same problem. Like they have these majestic made up animals, the sea serpent, the library or owl, which is an owl, but like a spirit owl, but whatever. And then there's a fox. And the fox is just bad. It's like I was like, huh, how interesting that we make a sea serpent look realistic as fog. There's an amazing shot of it in the first episode where I was like, wow, this is a TV show and holy shit. And then and then we get a fox that's like, what what is wrong with that fox? What's going on? And I'm like, I don't know what's going on with the fox, but is something is not right. So it's very interesting to see like non-realistic things. Great, fantastic. We do it. Real animals.
I mean, I think you could argue that the not what are we calling them? The mythical animals, there's no real that you've never seen one in real life. So there's not you can't get that sense of uncanny valley in the same way that like you know what a fox looks like, you've seen a fox. But like the other stuff, there's like an element of imagination that can go into it. So you'd be like, yeah, I can buy that this looks realistic.
Yeah, but again, Planet of the Apes. I can't get over that. There we
But they
proved that.
are still chimps. They still look like chimps.
Yeah, but it's not just the chimps, is it? Like, in especially in Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, we have the Hawks, so we have all of the other animals as well.
I, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know anything.
Anyway, anyway, it's CGI talk, and we're here to talk movies and TV shows and whatnot. So yeah, I'm watching Avatar. I have one
Hmm.
episode left. I really love it. I still think I said it with the first season. I'm saying it with the second season. Um, I think they are using their time wisely, and they are picking up storylines and stories from the original. Uh, in a very smart way, and they are putting together a live action remake that's not flawless, and it's never going to be as perfect as the animated series was, but it's very very enjoyable. And I this second time around I like the kids even more. I think I am now at a point where, and Toph, my girl Toph, such a great casting. I'm just like, hats off. Thank you for this. She's perfect. I was very worried about how they're gonna do Toph because she's the greatest character in the animated series. She's my favorite, but she's very well done, very beautiful. So I'm excited for the last episode. I have no idea where they're gonna take it or how they're gonna wrap it up. I kind of have an idea of what's gonna be the last moment. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm very excited. I don't know if we're gonna talk about it on Couch Soup, but we might. I don't know.
I don't think I'm gonna watch it. I just don't care enough. I'm sorry. I watched the last one for you, and I didn't enjoy it in the same way that you did because I've not seen the original properly,
That's
so
a
I've
big
got no
problem.
I've got no uh what's the word, nostalgia for it, or I haven't got any like built-in love for it or anything like that. Plus, I feel like I would be worse on it. I'm gonna not gonna lie if I had seen the original, um, because I wasn't huge on the way that they wrote the first season. I felt like it was very expositionary in a way that was like, this is like slightly terrible. Like people actively saying how they feel out loud to camera is not good writing.
They changed that a lot in
Okay.
this second season.
I still am like, it's not drawing me in. I've also been playing a lot of games recently, so TV's not been as high on my list of stuff
Mhm.
to do. But I did finally watch Widow's Bay.
Oh, did you?
I did.
I
I
haven't
watched
finished
all of
it
it.
yet,
You
so
haven't watched the fuck. Poor Thinneth, hi Thinneth, got all of my ramblings from the last episode because I was like, I can't deal with this. You have to like do this with me. Um, just with like some of the stuff that happened in it, I was like, I can't do this on my own. I have to yell about it, otherwise I will keep pausing this episode and I will never finish it.
oh,
That's kind of the vibe. Um,
interesting.
but I thought it's fantastic. It really is as good as everybody keeps saying it is. It's just so fun. And I love the fact that it wears all of its like obvious inspirations on its sleeve
Yes.
whilst not being a parody. Like it's like I get very frustrated when people call Shaun the Dead a parody movie. Pisses me off decidedly. It's not a parody movie. It's
Mm-mm.
just a comedy movie that happens to have, that is
Mm,
also a horror movie. Takes the zombies very seriously in the plot.
yes.
Um, this does that very well, especially episode 8 with the whole like obvious Mike Myers like thing with the boogeyman coming out. I was like, this is very funny, but also the fact that he isn't stopping is terrifying. I was like, I don't know how you've managed to make this both hilarious and also scary.
They're pretty good at it, to be fair.
I was just, yeah, I was very impressed. The episode 3 was a big standout with the inaugural swim and the sea witch,
Oh,
and
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the whole of episode 4 with Patricia and the witchy stuff is fucking fantastic. And I was also a big fan of Hamish Linklater. Sorry,
Yes.
Hamish. That's his name?
Linkletter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, I was suddenly like, did I mix up two names?
No, no, no,
Um,
no.
yeah, him turning up with that insane voice. Never heard him sound like that before.
He's great. He's always great. Someone wrote it on threads that whenever Hamish shows up, you know that
It's
you're
going to be
watching
good
a
stuff.
really good
Yeah.
thing. And it's true. It's true. He's fucking awesome. Yeah, yeah. I still have to finish it. I haven't finished it yet.
I'll watch the next
Uh,
episode.
yeah, and I keep reading that the last episode is quite divisive. Some people say it's brilliant and a great way to close off the season, and some people say it's the worst that they've ever seen. And I'm like,
I
hmm,
think some people are very what is the word I'm saying? People like to overreact to things. Let's
that's
say
true.
that.
That's true.
The number of times I've seen people be like, "This is the worst thing I've ever seen." I'm like, What have you watched? Because you can't have seen very much. I've seen worse than this.
Very
Into with
true.
the vampires, third season, which is the vampire that's that now. I've seen so many people be like, "This is absolute garbage," and I was so put off from watching the first couple of episodes because I thought people didn't like it so much. And then I watched them and I went, "This is great. I don't know what you people are talking about. I really
That
like this."
that's why I stopped. I think, and I don't know who wrote this or whatever, but I fully agree that this culture that we are currently living in of like criticizing things before they even come out
Mm,
and making judgment on it before it's even out,
mm,
it's is just very toxic. So I literally just stopped checking anything. Like I don't care. I There was a time in my life where I was only willing to watch the first trailer that dropped. I wasn't willing to watch anything else because movies started to have this thing of like giving too much away. And then I stopped reading Rotten Tomatoes or anything that's like a critical overview of things, because I was like, it was clouding my judgment as well. And but now I have to turn off social media if I am interested in something, because people are kind of horrible, and I don't know what this is with,
I
with the negativity towards things and already being judgmental. Like now everyone is shitting on the Supergirl movie, and they were shitting on it before it came out
well, yeah, that's just the misogyny again.
again. And I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, when did this become popular? Of the movie is not even out. You've
Mhm.
seen trailers, you've seen posters, you've seen the cast go on interview tours or whatever. You haven't seen the movie. You don't know shit about it. You can't judge a movie based on a trailer.
Mm.
It's just not possible. You can have like, I don't have a problem with someone who says, I'm a bit wary of this based
Mm.
on the trailer. That's okay. I have those moments as well where I'm like, okay, this is not really giving me much hope, but let's see what it is. But I think people stop doing the see what it is and just go, oh, I think this looks shit, this trailer, so I don't care. It's probably shit. And I'm like, hey, what?
I have always been of the opinion that it's very hard to judge a story until after you've seen everything in it, which is why I've always regularly will have entire discussions of full seasons of stuff, and I'm like, this story's not over, and I don't feel like I can say anything more about what it's saying at this given point in time, because I'm like, we're in the middle of a story at this point. Like usually in the second season of something, I'm like, I don't want to say anything more about how I feel about this because I haven't seen what the end of this is going to look like. I felt like that a lot after the third season of The Bear came out and people were like so angry about the ending. I was like, yeah, well, I could see where it was going, but I was like, we're also not that you have to wait until the rest of the story plays out to be able to actually tell like how well this has done all of what it's doing. Then you can be a bit more like precise in your criticisms about like, oh, maybe it dragged a bit too much here, did this and all this other stuff. But also people don't want to be precise in their criticisms. They just want to say something shit and they want to move on. And I'm like, that's so boring. And also like it does nothing to like I have a friend who is very often very surprised by how I rate things on Letterboxd because I'm very loath to give anything under 2 stars most of the time. There's very few things that I'm like, this is actually terrible. Because even when things are not good, there's still an element of artistry on display, and there's still some things about it that I find to be like, yeah, this is like this bit's good. I can still find something in it that I'm like, this looks nice. I think this piece of acting was good, anything like that. It's very rare that I can turn around and be like, this is actually garbage. But people will go ahead and be like, I'll just give this a half star because I think it like X, Y, and Z is shit. And I'm like, you really thought there was nothing in this that like was like good enough to like,
Yeah.
you know, to give like some kind of props to. Because I think at that point you're just there to write a witty one-liner like tearing something to shreds which does absolutely nothing for act. That's not criticism. That's just
Nope.
being a dick.
Yep. It's just, and a lot of times because I know it became popular, like rage baiting people,
Hmm.
and it's just the stupidest thing for me. Like, if you genuinely don't like something and you can explain why, I don't have a problem with that. But when it's so obvious that, you just picked out the most popular complaints and you collected them, and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna make this like 100% louder, and that's my opinion. I'm like, dude, why? Like, I was thoroughly frustrated with people, uh, with how people were about the final season of The Boys, because
I
it
still
was
haven't watched
just,
it.
it was insanity
Mm.
of like, this show that was consistently doing the same thing over and over again. And it just took people a lot of time to realize that, this is actually holding a big ass fucking mirror to today's society and a lot of things that are happening today. I mean, if you haven't clocked that when they were literally taking real ads and make them into the show in with the seven and whatever, and made it into this they didn't even have to change much. Like my favorite is still when they did the Pepsi parody.
Oh, yeah, it kill me.
That that part, it still blows my mind away. And if you haven't clocked that, The Boys is this is what it's all about. And my God, the way people are like, Homelander deserved more.
No, he doesn't. He deserves
No,
less, if
he
anything.
doesn't. He's a and if you haven't clocked that Homelander was a fucking man child throughout the entire 4 seasons and in the final season as well, what the fuck have you been watching? Like,
Yeah, there's definitely two. I think there are valid criticisms to be made about The Boys, just from the 4 seasons that I have seen.
yeah.
In that I think some of that parody sort of stuff that they do in the show runs a little thin at times. At least I found.
I'm not gonna argue with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I did, and it's part of the reason why I haven't watched season 5 because I was like, it's almost it like things suck so much, generally speaking, at the moment that I kind of don't want to see what's going on over there. I know how it ends. I kind of saw like bits and pieces. It was kind of hard not to see like
Yeah.
spoilers. Um, and for that, I would like to throw in there that I was exactly right about how the show was gonna end. It was like, right, so, Butcher kills Homelander and then Huey has to kill Butcher. And I was like, oh, right, great. So I was exactly correct. Cool. I love being right about things. Um, spoilers. But the yeah, I think anybody who's watching the show who seems to think that like Homelander was in any way a hero is just, I mean,
It's
good luck in that other version of the universe that you're currently living in because it's not what the show that the rest of us have been watching.
I was just baffled by it. Like, what are you people talking about? I don't understand. Like, don't get me wrong, Anthony Starr is fucking amazing as Homelander. I think it's one of those once in a lifetime kind of characters that are like, I'm so glad we have, and his acting is insanely good. But even he says, and he's like, if you agree with Homelander, you got a problem.
Mhm.
Like, it's if it's like, because I what happened during the final season is that I also started rewatching from season 1,
Mhm.
and then seeing it all together, I'm like, this show is probably one of the most consistent shows that I've ever seen. Like, the themes, the characters, the way they are built up, and the way their story is led throughout the 5 seasons. It's just so well done, honestly, and it's so consistent. Like, that's the best word to describe it. And I just don't, I really, I had to come off of social media during that time because I was like, this I don't know. Are you going to rage bait me because you succeeded? Because
Mm.
I was yelling at people at one point. I'm like, what the fuck is going on, man?
Yeah, my Threads really likes giving me notifications when you put things out. Like I basically don't get notifications from Threads ever. And then every once in a while it goes, "Hey, Lily's made it's not a tweet, I guess it's a thread."
It's a
Um,
thread.
and I'm like, "All right, what's Lily yelling about now?"
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I've been yelling about a few things.
Yeah.
I had about Disclosure Day as well, by the
Mm.
way, just to circle back to the beginning. But yeah, it is. And recently I had about something that is, I think the best word for it is quite disappointing, and I want to talk about it.
Yeah.
It's the A24 selling out to AI deal. And I'm like, what? First,
Yeah.
first when I saw it, I thought it was a joke because it was one of those sites where they slightly misspelled the name of
Mm.
the original site, and I was like, okay, this is just a,
Like discussing fish.
yeah, 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 exactly. And I was like, it's probably just a joke. And then I had to realize it's not a joke. So what do we think about that?
I mean, one of the first things I saw about it was somebody pointing out that this journey for them investing into AI started last year. It was about there was something a year ago where they like created like an AI department in the company or something like that. I can't remember specifically, so don't hold that to me. But something this sort of journey towards that sort of thing, that investment in it a lot of it started last year, and it's just that they've taken another step in this direction. Um, it is disappointing. I think holding any studio at this point up as like a pinnacle of art is quite dangerous because they are still all like capitalistic pieces, and everybody seems to be. It's the way that everybody seems to be touting the exact same line about AI, where they're like, "It's here now, so we just have to start learning how to use it." I'm like, "Fucking why? No, we don't. Fuck off." I have no reason to want to use any of this. I actually would like to make things myself, shockingly. Like there's for me, there is absolutely no reason for AI to exist in creative industries. Just none. Like I can understand the use of it to create code. I can understand the use of it that it's there to like make like the spotting of like cancer in scans and stuff. These are the great reasons for AI to exist. These are the things that we want it to actually do. The idea was that it was meant to make lives easier, not take away human art. Like we want to be able
Yep.
to make more art. We don't want to take away the ability for other people to make art. And then people go, "Oh, it makes making art for everybody way easier." I'm like, "You're not making art. You're making generated bullshit. You're
That
making
steals other
stolen,
people's
like,
work.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're making stolen work. It's
Yeah.
not yours. You're just typing some shit into a computer and it like goes and shits something out for you. It loves hallucinating. It hallucinates all the time, is the other thing. Anytime you ask ChatGPT for anything, you may get something back that's correct. That doesn't mean it's not still hallucinating. It doesn't know anything. It's not a search engine. It just drives me absolutely fucking mental. I had somebody at a job center meeting turn to me and go, "Oh, you should ask ChatGPT about that." And I just had to sit there and go, "Okay," because I was like, "I'm not doing that. I'm not adding to the the already terrible environmental impact that we've got going on." I just
And this, and people like
it's
I keep
35 degrees in England. That's not how hot it should be here.
that's one thing, and the other thing is that people are getting stupider.
There's a media literacy crisis, absolutely.
Yep, and
Couple of big crises.
yep, and it's quite fascinating to see. Like I saw a post of like, let's take away um, all the AI shit, the Chat GPT and everything for a week, and let's see if people are able to think on their own
It's
and
just
use actual search tools and whatever on their own, and let's see how successful it will be. And I honestly think at this point it would be a huge failure.
it's been like God, when did ChatGPT come on the scene? It feels like it's only been like 2 years.
Probably.
It doesn't it like and now and people keep turning around and being like, um, you can't expect like especially students being like, you can't expect us to like have to write all of these
That's
things without using like ChatGPT, and like the rest of us fucking did it.
we
I
did
used to
it.
write an essay before, like most of my essays I wrote the night before. Like
I had to sit in a library and look up books and previous dissertations for mine because I was like, there was no chat GPT. And guess what? We did it. We were able to do it. The biggest crime I could commit, I remember this very clearly, and it was very funny. I didn't want to read the book, so I just watched the movie, and the
mm,
movie was obviously not translating everything. And
hmm
my teacher immediately clocked it. She was like, "You just watched the movie, right?" And I was like, No.
it baffles me as well because like so much of my time in school was spent with like teachers being like, if you plagiarize anything, we will know and you will not get your marks. And then teachers turn around and make lessons plans in ChatGPT where I'm like, what are we doing? What are we actually doing?
We're becoming lazy. That's
It's
the
just
thing. This
things need to be hard in order for us to actually know how to do anything. Like some things actually do need to be difficult, and it's
and
good for
to
you.
and to appreciate things
Mhm.
because I keep yelling about this, and I will never shut up about this. Ever since all this AI stuff came up, I don't have commissions.
Mm.
I barely have people reach out to be like, "Hey, I'm willing to wait for however many days it takes for you to create art for me. Can you do this and then?" I used to have two, three a month. Now it's good if I have one every 3 months. And it fucking sucks. Like, even I can feel it on myself that my creativity went down. I'm like, what's the point? Why should I create anything? Yeah, sure, create it for yourself and blah blah blah. Okay, dude, sure. I used to live from this. And I can't anymore. And I can't even expect to find a job on this field at this point, because when you see people getting fired from Marvel who've been there for 25 years, what is the hope for you as a new creative, or someone who's only been, on Comic Cons, for example, or not even that, just gathered a big following on social media? What are your chances?
I think I'm going to link this back to Disclosure Day real quick because I find I get very annoyed when people jump on social media and they tear something down and all this sort of stuff as if like the fact that the thing is not perfect is some kind of moral failing. And I'm like, I think the importance of something like Disclosure Day existing is less in the fact that like it's like a perfect movie. It's not. It's decidedly not. But it's pointing towards a sense of like like a version of a movie making that we haven't had in a very long time. And the fact that it's flawed feels like the most important thing about it to me, in that I'm like I've always been so like drawn to things that I feel like might be slightly shit, but feel like a lot of people cared a lot about it, because I think that that feels more like actual art than something that like comes out perfectly. Like you can have some people who make like some near perfect pieces of like television or movies or like actual artwork. Well, I mean, actual artwork is like an entirely different field, because I think the imperfections in actual artwork are the important things about the actual artwork. But like you can create almost the perfect story, but like the stuff in it that's going to move you the most is the stuff that you're going to bring to it anyway. You can watch something terrible, but it could be something about like you that you know very well, and it can move you and it can become your favorite movie, even if you can like objectively look at it and be like, this is not a very well told story,
Yeah.
but it means something to me. And I think that there's more worth in that than anything else. Like I rewatched The History of Sound the other day, which I got on Blu-ray for my birthday. And I was like, I love this movie so much. It like has issues with it. Like I look at it and I watch the story and I'm like, there's like stuff missing in this story that it could have dug into way more, or like done more stuff with and all these bits and pieces. But like I bring a lot to this movie, and a lot of the stuff that I bring to this movie are the reasons that I enjoy it as much as I do.
Yeah.
And I think that's some of the most important stuff out there, in my opinion. So it's like Disclosure Day might not be a perfect movie, but it was a movie made by people who cared about the material that they were working on. Um, on the other hand, you have things like, I don't know, what was a really shit movie that came out this year that was just sort of like mid. I don't know. I can't really think of anything this year. I think a lot of the stuff that Marvel's been doing before they've like re-pivoted towards like trying to like, instead of doing when they were churning out stuff in the past few years, that's what they were doing. They were just making cookie cutter entertainment that had absolutely no real value to it, because they were just like doing shit and it didn't mean anything, and there was no like heart put into any of it and all that sort of stuff. That's the sort of stuff that I'm like, get it out of here. I
Yeah.
want stuff that's made by people who really gave a shit about the material and came from the material from a very pure place. Because I think some people can, I think most movies, nobody wants a movie to fail when they're writing it, right? Nobody's really going into something and being like, I want to make something shit. Nobody does that. Sometimes things just fall apart. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I think there's a like bankrupt almost intention at times, where things are done with the sense of like, is this profitable, as opposed to does this make me feel something?
And that's a big problem.
Um, and I think that movie studios tend to lean towards, is this bankable? Because obviously they want to make money back. But then they keep making stuff that isn't like doesn't do well because there's no emotion behind it.
But
Like
that's
they
it. But I think that's where I disagree, because that's the problem, that
Mhm.
uh, you know, these live action remakes. everyone is like, why do we need this? Whatever. They still make 1 billion
Yeah.
easily. And I'm like,
It
there's
inside like it's not like one to one, but there's like a bunch of stuff that has
there's
come
a
out that
there's a
I'm
lot.
I'm not talking about live action remakes so much at this current point in time. There's what came out recently that did way there was something that came out that was meant to be like huge, and it did not do well. Um, Oh, Mandalorian and Grogu. Like I really liked Mandalorian and Grogu in a way that surprised me, honestly.
Yeah.
Because I was like I like it fine, generally speaking. But like I really liked the Mandalorian Grogu in a way that I was like, this movie kind of feels like it's just like some people milling about and doing stuff and all this. This is kind of going against my point, honestly. But like that movie did not do well at the box office.
Surprisingly.
But yeah, I'm kind of negating my own point here, a little bit. Uh, so I'm going to pivot slightly. But like that movie should I think uh, is the opposite of what audiences have almost been trained to want from franchise films. In that it was kind of a movie about nothing. It didn't do a whole lot to push a whole lot of plot forward. There was no like massive reveals or anything like that. It wasn't big and attention grabby. It was a very quiet movie that was kind of about nothing, which is why I really enjoyed it. But people are like set up by companies to be like, what's the next big thing that's going to get a lot of people talking about like some massive plot point so that we can, start discourse. This is a very discourse light movie. Um, so I don't know. I can't remember the point I'm making. I don't know. I've say more things because I've lost my thread.
That studio is going for the profitable things.
Yeah.
And, it's I think the biggest problem is that that's what still sells. When, like,
There you
even
go.
if,
That's where I was kind of
yeah,
going. Thank you.
even if you look at it like, we don't need this. And you see a lot of discourse of like, we need something that actually has substance to it and whatever. But when a movie comes out and it doesn't have any substance, it's just, I keep going back to this, but it's very true. Like it's just a remake of something, and it's arguably there were some that were okay. There were a few that were actually good as well, but most of it really is just okay. Here it is. I'm gonna grab this that worked before. I'm gonna adapt it to live action, and it made $1 billion. And we can complain about how Moana lost all its colors in the live action movie, and how it's soulless, and it feels like it really is just a cash
Looks
grab.
it
But
looks like garbage. I'm sorry.
it
It just
it's
looks
gonna make
terrible.
I can tell you that
Yeah,
it's
it
gonna
will
make
make
a
a lot of money.
it will make a shit ton of money. I can guarantee it. And that's the problem,
Yeah.
because this is the feedback that is louder than anything else that we are trying to say. Like, no matter how many people are saying that we need movies that, don't spoon feed the story for us, because that's my other big problem. That a lot of times when I watch movies and TV now, I feel like that the creators think that I am an idiot and
Mm.
I can take subtext and I can understand the story unless it's like literally like
I
spoon
mean,
fed
you
to
should
me.
see some of the ways that people are watching The Vampire Lestat. You like, I mean, it is like people don't.
Look, I've seen it with
It's
the
just fucking crazy.
I've seen it with the boys, and that's where I realized that media literacy, and it's just that. And this unfortunate as it is, this second screen viewing thing is a real thing. And it's very, very, very upsetting. I'm not gonna lie. Like that's why I like Disclosure Day. It doesn't spoon feed anything to you. It
Yeah.
tells you everything one time, and if you paid attention, you're gonna get it. If you didn't, then well, buddy,
Watch
that's
it
shit for
again.
you.
I
Watch it
mean,
again.
this is my thing. I think it like the thing of like I understand the impulse to see something and get confused by it and get frustrated that you're getting confused by it and wanting to get annoyed at the fact that like the thing is not like I that you don't understand the thing. But like that is that's a you problem, almost is like the way I can describe it.
It
It's like
is.
you need to, if you don't understand something, the effort should be in being like, well, maybe I'll try again and see if I can understand it again better that way. But like, I also recognize that at least both of us, I think, are different beasts in that we really care about the stories that we're like investing into. So, and I know I definitely am like, I always want to see what the magic trick is. Like, so, which is why Disclosure Day was so fucking fascinating to me. Because I was like, there's so much of this I don't like I can't put my finger on what is going on here, so I had to see it again because I had to pull it apart a bit more and figure out what it was that about it that was like both speaking to me and then also not speaking to me at the same time. I don't know, it's like be more like nobody's curious about anything anymore. Everybody wants an answer. They don't want the question of
Yeah.
like, what does that mean? What are we doing?
Yeah.
What do you mean by that? But at the same time, oh God, I mean, this is like going off topic a little bit, but you have no idea how much it frustrates me going on Twitter and seeing people vague posting at any given point in time. They'll just like quote tweet something and they'll just be like, girl. And you're like, I don't know how you feel about what you're just talking about here because all you've said is the most vague thing possible. I can't read tone from text.
You should be able to at this point. Like it's but I know what you mean. I
It's
know
like
what
I
you mean.
feel like there is a sort of spectrum of like talking to everybody like they're idiots, and saying everything like on the nose and not giving any space for like subtext and stuff. And the complete opposite end of that, where they give you absolutely nothing at all, and they're going, "Well, why can't you interpret it?" And I'm like, "Because there's nothing in this. I don't know what you've done here, but like." This is void of like meaning, in fact. Like I can't take anything from this because it feels like you've put nothing into it. You've kind of suggested nothing with it. How am I meant to there's no context clues for me to put things together with because you've given me no context. Like
It's
it's like it feels like everything I see is one end or the other, and there's nothing that's in the middle part that like,
yeah.
uses filmic language to suggest things. Instead they just sort of like I've oh God, I swear I saw something recently that did this a lot, where it kind of like alluded to stuff, but didn't get. The Pit has done this quite a bit. That's what I'm thinking of. The Pit kind of does this thing where it like withholds information in a way, at least in the second season, especially, withholds information in a way where it's like it's going, oh, but like I'm suggesting things to you, and I'm like, you're not suggesting shit. I can't tell what you're trying to tell me. Like I am pretty good at watching television, but there are multiple times where I see people arguing about the meaning of something, and I'm like, the reason people are arguing this much about the meaning of this thing that should be clear is because it's not clear. You've given us nothing to like hang our hats off of here. There's
Yeah.
like you've actively taken away the like points of like craft that give you that sense of something without being need to like being told. Like you're telling us things, but there's no showing that's going along with it that like gives us subtext. And this was my big issue with the second season of The Pit was that there was no context to anything. They were like kind of alluding to stuff and people would say things about like how they feel about things like or what have you. And it wasn't like they were turning around to the camera going, I'm feeling sad, which they did a little bit. But like the underside of that, it wasn't like somebody was saying something and they meant something else, you know? It was a lot of like presenting like I mean, The Pit is an interesting thing because they really kind of partly want to be a documentary, but also seem to keep forgetting that they're telling a story at times, where it's like, yeah, this is realistic, but what does that tell me in a story sense, you know? So there's like a sense of like how are we presenting context to the viewer at this point? Or have we just decided that that's not necessary because otherwise we're just going to tell people things? I- I'm going around in circles.
I don't think that they can find the middle ground a lot of times.
Yeah, they can't. And
It's
it
it's
pisses me off.
it's not because it is very, very unfortunate because I think a lot of good stories are hidden in those movies or TV shows where they failed to do either. Like, when you give too much, like I obviously watched the last season of Stranger Things. And when I first watched it, I was like, okay. I didn't really have any kind of feeling
Mm.
towards it other than why are we so afraid to kill characters?
Yeah.
And therefore completely erasing any stakes of the
Mm.
story. But then the more I thought about it, and then I watched my favorite YouTuber's Friendly Space Ninjas video about it, which was like 5 hours. So I mostly listened to it in the background while I was drawing. But he was so on point saying that the biggest problem with Stranger Things season 5 for me as well is that they over explained
Yeah.
every single fucking thing. Like the episodes were long because we spent not just minutes, but sometimes like 15 minutes of like, okay, so this is that, and I want to make sure that you understand that this is why we do
Pretend
this
this
and blah, blah,
pencil
blah, blah.
is a person.
Yes. And it's like, oh fuck yeah, that they did that a lot,
They
didn't
did
they?
that
And
a
then
lot.
I had to realize at first watching, I was just like, like it definitely didn't feel like the first season of Stranger Things anymore, but it hasn't for a very long time now. But yeah, I guess I wasn't really paying attention to it that much to be annoyed by it. But then thinking back on it, I'm like, yeah, what the fuck happened? Like,
I
this show used to be smart.
Yeah, I said that I rarely give things on 2 stars
Yeah,
on Letterboxd. I gave the finale of Stranger Things a star and a half because I was still like, there's some stuff in here that's like nice,
that's
I
true.
guess,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I really
They completely lost the plot of their entire story by the end. It's like they went for spectacle
yeah,
instead of substance.
it did absolutely nothing.
Absolutely
It just
nothing.
did nothing. It said nothing. I
Yeah,
was like, cool, thanks, guys. My review in full was this was so ass, but at least I don't ever have to watch Noah Schnapp try and act again.
that's true. He's not gonna get any jobs anymore.
No,
That's
he really, and
100%.
I mean, I like he was so good as a child, but then he really started the resting on the whole like screaming, shaking, crying thing,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
it's like this is boring.
Yeah.
I'm bored, and it was never more obvious to me than like there was a moment I think it was in the finale when he's like communicating with Vecna. And Jamie Campbell Bower is like giving it beans. He's doing such a good job doing a kind of like restrained shaking, screaming, shaking, crying kind of vibe. And it was like they kept cutting between them. I was like, you are just making it so obvious how much Noah cannot act. Because all I'm seeing is how good Jamie is and how bad Noah is in this
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately. And to think, because looking back on Stranger Things as a whole, it really started off as an exceptionally good
Oh yeah.
TV series. It really is. Like if I go back now and watch season 1 and season 2 as well, I still really enjoy it, and it's smart writing. The characters are great, and it's quite sad to see that being thrown out of the window because
Mm.
they started catering for a fan base instead of sticking with their own story.
Have you seen the document? I haven't seen all of it, but have you seen any of the documentary stuff that they did for about the last episode? They
No.
didn't know how it was going to end. Like
Oh,
they
I heard
actually
about that.
didn't they Drew Gooden's got a great video about television. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but he talks about the finale of Stranger Things in it. And he like shows a couple of clips and it's like they're having these conversations in the writers' room where you're like, "Oh my God, they're actually like talking about this and making terrible choices." Like somebody even like tries to bring up that like, it's weird that there's no demo dogs in the other fucking place I can't remember the name of. And they were like, yeah, but everybody's like fatigued by them, so we don't really want to put them in there. And it's like, okay, great, you actively made a terrible choice. It's like
You know,
your final fight now feels completely limp because there's only
yeah,
one thing and everybody survives. Like
yeah,
that's crazy. Like
yeah,
I know when we discussed season 4, I would like so much of it was just like I don't want Steve to die. And then by the end of season 5, I was like, kind of wish he died. Actually, it would have been
yeah,
more interesting at this
yeah.
point.
I mean, come on, that shot when he
Oh,
falls
it was the
off and
stupidest
they
fucking
cut
thing
to
I've ever
black, and I
seen.
was like,
In the middle of an episode with no ads.
yeah,
Like, what are you doing?
yeah.
What are we doing?
And they thought that they're gonna be so dramatic and it's gonna be such a thing, and I was like, it's not though, because
This
at
is
this point
nothing.
we know that you are too much of a chicken to kill any of the main characters,
Yeah.
and it leaves a huge fucking stain on your own show. And
Hmm.
I keep going back of like, because I've been thinking about this a lot of like, when did this start to happen? And I think, unfortunately, as much as I still love Game of Thrones, but there's that famous snippet of an interview with one of the creators. I don't know which one of them says it, but it's literally Daenerys kind of forgot that there was an army there, and they were, and
I
I
think
was
you're
like,
I actually think you're 100% right. I think that was the first really obvious version of that because we all know how bad the end of Game of Thrones
yeah,
was. I know how bad the end of Game of Thrones was, and I've only
and you
seen
have a,
most
yeah,
of the first season.
yeah,
Um, uh, and it really was that thing of just sort of like you just didn't think about this, did you? Or
no,
like you made a choice that like went against everything else that was going on because this is my other huge bugbear, and I think we need to wrap up soon because we have been going for about an hour, and I don't want to edit too much. But the thing that like I pisses me off is that from what I can tell, script editors don't exist in Hollywood. Everybody
not
who like
anymore.
writes a script like edits their own material. And I'm like, you need an objective person to come in and edit the material so that they can interrogate it in a way that goes like, okay, but what do you mean by this? Like you need like you if you when you are making something yourself, you can be very like up in your own head about it. It's why people who write books have their own editors, you know?
Yeah,
You can't do it all on your own. That you'll get studio edits. I'm not talking about studio edits. I'm talking about an actual script editor who comes in and actually wants to make the material good and not on the behalf of like implementing like studio notes because studios don't necessarily know what they're talking about. Sometimes they have good notes, not
that's true.
always.
Yeah,
You need somebody to come in and be like, why this? What are you doing here? Like, what does this mean? What does this scene do? Like, what are we telling the audience by doing X, Y, and Z? So, yeah, I don't know. It's that, and then there's also a sense of like nobody understands how the craft of filmmaking works anymore. Nobody seems to understand what it means to like use a certain shot and what that tells an audience and all these bits and pieces. And that fucks me off as well, which is why and to bring it home, I think Disclosure Day actually does work because Steven Spielberg is still an excellent filmmaker.
yes,
I don't know if I think the script is perfect, but that's like, I think it was worked, you know? It was like a script that had a lot, from what I heard, it had like a lot of edits to it. Um, and like a lot of like pushes to like try and make it into the thing that he actually wanted it to be. But the filmmaking is so excellent. There's like moments in it where I was like, oh, the like proper like Indiana Jones, like the light, like just on the eyes, and
yeah,
I know people are annoyed about the lens flare, but the lens flare and, and that weird shot that's like right on the side of Josh O'Connor's face when he's like realizing that he can understand the things that the alien said, and I'm like, that's cool. It gives you a sense of unease because that's how he's feeling.
yeah.
That's the point.
But Katie, what do we expect when people's biggest problem with the new Spider-Man trailer was how did the camera go into his mask? What the fuck do we expect? That's when I nearly threw out my
I
laptop.
was like, I saw this a lot. There was one from Disclosure Day as well. There's that moment in the field where he realizes that he's like talking about the things that Emily Blunt is like clicking on the news, and
Yeah.
he's like, yeah, it's like this is English, and he's like, wait, you can understand that and all this other stuff, and then the crop circle appears, and it cuts over to Colin Firth using the device, which has
Yes.
the same symbol on it, and I'll admit, I didn't quite understand like I didn't quite understand what the point of that was. And I saw it twice and I was like, that's a bit odd because that doesn't happen again, really. But what it's doing is just trying to allude to the audience that something is happening because of this device. That's the thing that's going on. That is the entire point of that sequence of events. And I was like, right, I am aware that I didn't understand this very well, but that's a me problem, not a movie problem. It's still doing so. That's still filmic language. Like
Yeah.
that's still like alluding to something. Like, and I'm aware that I didn't understand it, but that's just me being stupid. It's not a bad use of that thing. It's just like I didn't put it together immediately. And I think it's because other stuff started writing my brain. Gotta get back on the good media horse.
I think that's why I really, because I remember seeing that take on the Spider-Man trailer and I
Mm.
nearly threw my phone to the wall. I was like, I can't, I literally can't. That's one of the greatest shots that I've ever seen in anything, if I am completely honest. I was like, wow, I fucking love this. I even went back and I watched it like over and over again because I think it's brilliant. And then people are like, I don't even want to repeat what people are writing about
I
it. I'm
just,
like,
the moment anybody turns around and be like, yeah, but it's not realistic. I'm like, I don't care about realism. It's a story. I want it to make me feel something. I want it to allude to a thing. I don't want it to and it's like part of the trouble with the pit, generally speaking, as well, because they're like, yeah, but we're going for like we're aiming for the medical practitioner audience, so we want to make things as realistic as possible. I'm like, that's great. And your story? What are we doing with the story? What is that telling us? Because your story in season two was kind of shit. It was all over the place and it wasn't focused and there was no central like there was no central point really on like who we're meant to be following for the entire season. Like who is this season about? It's about Robbie. Why am I being so left out of his like internal like space? Which they did intentionally. They kept being like, we want this to be an ensemble show, and I'm like, but the show's about Robbie, and you're actively like shutting us out of his internal monologue and not letting us into anybody else's. So I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna stop.
yeah, we could rant about this for
I could.
hours. I think we could go and go on. But
Hey,
altogether, it's a bit sad. It's
yes.
I think that's why I've been personally struggling to watch a lot of things. I feel like that it's now very rare for me to really enjoy something because of these things. And I hate that we are heading towards this. So I am becoming more and more appreciative when it actually is something that's like Disclosure Day. That's like, I have to say, I really enjoyed and seen the glory days again in the first episode of season 3 of House of the Dragon now,
Hmm.
because
I heard it's good.
it's it was insane. Like, my phone kept beeping. I didn't even want to look at it. I was completely in the story and I wanted to see every bit and piece. And now I find myself a lot of times that I just don't feel that with things, and that's sad.
Yeah. Legend of Vox Machina season 4 was pretty good.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
It's on the list of things that I need to catch up on. But
Mm.
I
There were multiple points in the season where I did cry a lot.
okay.
But the thing that happens right at the end of the season, which is the thing I knew was going to happen right at the end of the season, didn't get me because it was kind of the only thing that I knew was going to happen. So I was a bit like, yeah, there it is. I
Okay.
mean, it was fantastic, but it was like, and it hurt, obviously, but it was
Yeah.
still like, I knew this was going to happen. I
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. Okay. Fair deal. All right. I think that's it for now. At least, and then we're gonna be back next month. That's the thing
That's the
that we're
hope.
doing. We're going coming back and forth and back and forth. And until then, I don't know if we're gonna do anything on the watching now. On Couch Soup.
I think I'm going to be doing the Vampire Lestat in a few weeks with
There you go. With
I can't remember.
that's good.
I'm so sorry,
It's
but I
good.
think I should be doing. I was asked if I wanted to, and I would like to. So that might come out. I don't know if we're actually going to do it, but if it does, if it doesn't, I'll talk about it here because I'm sure that I'll have thoughts by the end of the season.
Yeah, sure. All right. And you can catch me doing Decoding Dragons every week on Couch Soup. That's with Michelle. We're doing then. And I have my own podcast as well with very lovely actors from the gaming and animation world.
So many people.
Yes,
So many cool
yes.
people.
It's honestly, it's so good. So good conversations. And you should enjoy it as well because these people are fucking insanely talented. Like now the new one with Melissa Hutchison, when she first changed to Clementine, I was like, I was there. I was on the Zoom call, but I was like, what the fuck? How the fuck are you doing that? Like it's insane. I'm like, I'm in awe of these people. I'm like, Jesus Christ, like what the fuck is going on? It's like you're talking to this one person and suddenly she or he is another person. I'm like, huh? How is this possible? You guys are so amazing. So that's what my podcast is focusing on, these amazing people doing your probably favorite voices in games and animation. So you should check that out as well. Maybe, probably. And we had some of them on here as well. So,
Yeah.
you can look back those episodes. We had Neil Newborn, we had Theo Solomon, we had Deborah White, we had Samantha Bayard, we had lovely Jeffrey Pierce. Oh my God, we had so many. I don't even know if I can properly
You don't need
list
to.
everyone, but just go back to our playlist here and check them out because they were very fun conversations.
Yeah.
Easy peasy. And
Goodbye, everybody.
Be back. We're gonna be back. And until then, don't forget to watch movies and TV or play a game, whatever suits you. And try not to die in this heat.
Yes, please drink water.
A lot.
And if it's really hot where you are, close the windows and shut the blinds during the day, open them during night. All of the
Yep.
above.
Yep.
Be careful.
Take care of yourselves. Exactly. And this was us. Goodbye.
Goodbye.